What's up, gamers? It's Above, back with another video, and today I'll be taking you through an updated in-depth guide of the Glassway Grandmaster Nightfall for Season 14. This GM made its first appearance during Season 12 and is notorious for becoming one of the hardest GMs to ever be released. My goal with this video is to educate you on every encounter, from general positioning tips to how you can manipulate ad spawns and what you can do to pace the boss fight to make it much less hectic for you and your fire team. With all of that said, let's get into it. Diving right into my recommended team comp, we ran one Well of Radiance Warlock with Phoenix Protocol, one Banner Shield Titan with Ursa Furiosa, and one Shadebinder Warlock with Aeon Soul. Well of Radiance is ideal for dealing with ad-heavy choke points throughout this Nightfall, while Banner Shield is fantastic for chaining supers and getting clutch reses in the boss room. Shadebinder, especially with the Bleak Watcher aspect, is used for heavy ad control and intel on enemy positioning in the boss room. The Aeon Souls will keep you stocked up on heavy ammo throughout this GM, which is an absolute necessity given the boss's immense health pool. Weapon loadouts are much more important now than they were in Season 12. Back then, we had Thermal Overload and Surge Eater at our disposal, making the disturbing amount of Overload champions much more manageable. Though Overload Hand Cannon is decent, our Overload options are simply much less potent this time around. To combat this, I recommend that your entire fire team runs Overload Hand Cannons with either explosive or timed payload to make them a consistent 2-shot stun. As for your secondaries, you're going to want at least one person running blinding nades. This will allow you to blind the wyverns and the mini hydra in the boss room, and I'll be getting into why that's so important later in the video. Your other two teammates will be running double primary with an anti-barrier scout to cover the long-range encounters and barrier champions scattered throughout the Nightfall. Solar is the only shield type present in this GM, and you don't really need to worry about matching elements, but if you want to, Empty Vessel, Vision of Confluence, and Trusty are all solid options here. As for your heavy weapon, I recommend that all three of you run Anarchy if possible. It has an ideal ammo economy for the final boss's massive health pool and is incredibly strong when paired with Breach and Clear. If you don't have Anarchy at your disposal, Wither Horde is another solid option. Now for a few key armor mods. I recommend Overload Hand Cannon, Anti-Barrier Scout, GL Finders and Scavs, Breach and Clear for a 35% debuff on bosses, ultras, and champions, taking charge and protective light to reduce incoming damage by 50% when your shields are broken, and your stasis lock should be running reactive pulse to gain a powerful overshield when performing a finisher. Now that we've covered all of the pre-run setup, let's get into the run. Jumping right into the Nightfall, keep an eye out for public event rally flags on your close left and far right. If they're available, definitely grab them, as supers make the beginning of this GM a lot faster. As you approach the first set of ads, have your stasis lock throw their turret to keep ads from aping you, but don't push up too far before engaging the Overload Captain, as snipers will spawn behind him if you do. Other than that, this area is pretty simple. As you approach the first room, stay on the ledge and plant anarchies below you and on the jump up. This prevents the wretches from rushing you. Team shot the Overload Captain as it spawns in, then jump down and clear the room. A barrier champion will spawn behind the pillar on the right, so team shot it and get a finisher if needed. The next room contains a mini boss by the name of the Warrior's Enforcer. The key here is to play cover behind the rock on the right hand side and take out the snipers as quickly as possible. An Overload champion will spawn in on the cliffside as well, so spawn kill him when you can. Once the Warrior's Enforcer reaches 50% health, it will make its way to the center of the room if you haven't killed it already. Once you push up to the center pillar, a barrier champion and a large wave of ads will spawn up, so make sure you don't cross that line until the Warrior's Enforcer is dead, or the barrier champion will just shield him and make the encounter far more annoying than it needs to be. Once again, clear the room, get a finisher, and top off on ammo if you need it. The next encounter also has a mini boss by the name of the Technocrat's Assistant. There are a couple things to keep in mind here. The first is to split aggro by having one person take cover behind the rock on the left, while your other two teammates use the rock on the right. Do not push up past the pillar on the right hand side, as it will spawn in a barrier champion and another wave of ads. This will make your lives a lot more difficult than they need to be, as the barrier will shield the mini boss and Overload champion, making them immune to any incoming damage. So start by sticking the Anarchy to the mini boss, stun and kill the Overload Captain, clear the room, then push up past the rock and pop your Shadebinder super to clear the remaining adds. Whittle down the barrier champion and get a finisher to restock on ammo if you need it. The next area is simply a transition zone. The only thing you need to be aware of here is when you push up to the pillar in front of you or too far right, snipers will spawn up at the back left-hand side of the map. So clear the room first, then push up and throw a stasis turret to keep the snipers suppressed. Once dead, hug the left-hand side and use this cover to take out the first overload champion. Once clear, push up to the next platform, take out the second overload champion, and we're moving on to drain some Vex Milk. This encounter is similar to the Fallen Saber Warsat. It's all about pacing. You don't want to stay on the plate too long, so start by standing on the plate until you see adds beginning to spawn, and make sure you get off at 35% capture progress. This is when snipers on the left-hand side of the dam will spawn in. Pop a well and immediately focus the snipers, then clear adds and step back on the plate. Once the capture progress reaches 50%, another wave of snipers will spawn in on the right-hand side of the dam. I like to pre-place anarchy traps across the pieces of cover that kill most of the adds as they drop down. Once clear, use your banner shield and well to your advantage to capture the rest of the plate. Once complete, the milk will be completely drained and an overload champion will spawn in directly below you. Wait for it to walk out from behind cover, then stun and sauce them. Once clear, have one person push up to trigger the spawn of adds in front of you, then head back up to the plate you captured with your fire team. You can all clear adds from here without drawing any aggro, which makes this part of the Nightfall pretty free. As you push up, keep an eye out for snipers on the top right and left rafters, as well as any that end up jumping down at the back of the dam. Clear adds and get a finisher on the barrier to stock up on ammo before the boss room. As you enter, there will be another overload champion. You'll want to get a finisher here even if your teammates are full on ammo, as the brick will be available for them later in the boss fight. Once the overload dies, the encounter begins. Play from the left room. It has by far the best sight lines and has plenty of cover to use if you get pushed by overload minotaurs or wyverns. The first wave will spawn in Bellman, the Transcendent Mind, and Mini Hydra, along with 2 overload champions. This is where the blinding nades are absolutely crucial to your success in this Grandmaster. The biggest mistake that people make is instantly health gating the Mini Hydra that pushes into your room. And it makes sense, right? You'd naturally want to get rid of a threat pushing into your safe space. Do not listen to that instinct. If you health gate the Mini Hydra right away, it will actually trigger the spawn of 2 additional overload champions, meaning you have to deal with 4 all at once. If you use your blinding nades to keep the Mini Hydra blinded, it won't shoot you and you can deal with the first 2 overload champions before health gating the mini boss and spawning in the second wave. This same idea applies to the spawn of wyverns throughout the boss fight as well. Once all 4 overloads are dead, trade aggro and stick anarchy to the thick Hydra outside. And once it's 2/3 health gated, it's time for wyverns and barrier champions to spawn in alongside the mini Hydra. Head to the far left-hand side of the room and keep line of sight on the left portal as the phase begins. You should be able to insta-kill the first wyvern from here. The mini Hydra will be pushing into your room again, so keep an eye out and blind it when you can. Once the second wyvern dies, reblind the mini Hydra, then head to the right door and take out the first 2 barrier champions. Kill one and finish one to stock up on ammo. Once complete, you can health gate the mini Hydra, and once again, head to the left door and spawn camp the first wyvern, then kill the second one as it enters. Once dead, once again, head outside and focus the 2 barrier champions, kill one, and finish one to stock up on ammo. Once the barriers die, Belmont will spawn up yet again, alongside 2 overload champions. If you're quick, you can spawn kill the first overload, but know that the boss will push you right away. This is definitely risky, and we spawn kill ours here, but you can also simply throw your stasis turret in the middle hallway and play the cover until both of them show up in your line of sight. Once dead, you will need to health gate the boss to 50% to spawn in the next wave of overload champions. Do not attempt to spawn kill one here, as the boss will still be wandering around from the previous rotation. Play the main hallway yet again and use your banner shield and well if needed. Once clear, health gate the big boss to 1/3 to progress to the final part of the fight. The last wave will consist of wyverns, barrier champions, and both bosses up at the same time. Play the main hallway yet again and use your well and banner to your advantage here. You will need to blind both the mini boss and the wyverns, so blind the mini boss, then focus on the wyverns, and once they're dead, keep the mini boss blinded again and head to the right door and take care of the barrier champions. I want to note that you don't need to kill any of the barrier champions to actually complete the GM. This is only if you're interested in a platinum run. But if you don't want to risk it, simply health gate the mini boss to spawn in the next 2 wyverns, kill those, and then stick anarchy to the boss and trade aggro until he's dead, making the Glassway Grandmaster a GG. If you found this guide useful, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. I'll also be streaming GM helps all season long at twitch.tv/above, so feel free to swing on by the stream. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace!